Hey guys, what's up? So in this video I configure a big project. Okay. So I open my project. So you can see this is my project. I configure in this video I configure this project. Okay. So you can see this is left side our VLAN 10, 20, 30 and 40, and this is right side. We have already 4 server and 2 PC. Okay, and middle point. This is our VLAN 50 and 60. So first of all, we configure our VLAN 10, 20, 30 and 40. Then 50 and 60. Okay, then we configure our router. Then we configure tel. Then we configure telnet CDP LLDP port security. Okay, so. We not configure telnet, we configure our SSH. Okay, SSH and SYSLOG. Yes, CDP LDP not port security, because past video we can see how to configure port security. So let's go. First of all, we create our VLAN. Okay, PC1, PC2, PC3, PC4, PC5 and PC6. 6 PC VLAN 10 and 6 PC VLAN 20 in a one switch. Go to switch, go to CLI. Okay, enable config terminal. First of all, we can create our VLAN name, VLAN 10, name VLAN 10. Now exit VLAN 20, name VLAN 20. Now we can exit. Then interface range path Ethernet 0 by 1 to 6. This is our VLAN 10. Yeah, VLAN 10. Switch port access VLAN 10. Exit. Then interface range path Ethernet 0 by 7 to 12. Okay, this is switch port mode access. Switch port access our VLAN 20. Then we now exit. Okay, so then we go to our trunking. So first of all, we can check Control Z plus exit. Now we can check our show VLAN. Okay, show IP interface brief. So you see our 12 PC. This is our VLAN 20. Okay, so first Ethernet 30 by 16 our VLAN tracking. Okay, so configure terminal interface range first Ethernet our first Ethernet 0 by VLAN 13 to 16. Okay, switch port mode track. So I have already configured trunking. So now I check show running configuration. So you can see first Ethernet 0 by 1, 0 by 2. This is VLAN 10, and this is first Ethernet 0 by 7 and 0 by 8 VLAN 20. And our others port trunking now. Already trunking. Okay, configuration successfully. So then we go to our switch 2. Okay, we go to our switch 2 and same system we configure VLAN 30 and VLAN 40. Go to switch, enable config terminal. First of all, we can create our VLAN name 30, name VLAN 30. We can now exit. Then we can write a VLAN 40 and name VLAN 40. We can now exit. Then interface range pass Ethernet 0 by 1 to 6. Switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN. This is our 30. Then we can now exit. And interface range pass Ethernet 0 by 7 to 0 by 7 to 12. Okay, pass Ethernet 0 by 7 to 12. This is our next VLAN. I mean VLAN 40. Okay, switch port mode access, then switch port access VLAN 40. Then we can now exit. Okay, then we can now exit. So others port we can now trunking. Okay, so first of all we can control Z exit. Now we can check show IP interface brief. You can see our others port 16, 13 to 16 others port. Configure terminal interface range pass Ethernet 0 by 13 to 16 switch port mode trunk. So we are now trunking. Okay, then let's go. We can check show running configuration. So you can see configuration successfully. So now we configure our multi-layer switch. Okay, so first of all we configure our router. This line, I mean this cable gigabit Ethernet 000. So I write here IP address 192.168. This is 1.1. Okay, and this is our 1.2, and this is our 2.1, and this is our 2.2. Okay, this is our 3.1. Okay, this is our 3.1, and this is this switch our 3.2. Okay, then we go to our router, then 5.1, and this is our 5.2, this is our 6.1, and this is our 6.2. So first of all we set up my IP address. Yes, this is my IP address. This is 2.1 and this is 2.2. This is 3.1 and this is 3.2. So this is a normal switch, but I set my IP address. Why? Because I configure SYS. Okay, SYS SYSLOG. I configure SYSLOG. So this IP address I configure already. Okay. So we configure our switch 1 and switch 2. So then let's go. So we configure multi-layer switch. Okay, so first of all we configure this cable. First Ethernet gigabit 000, enable config terminal interface gigabit Ethernet 000, our IP address 192.168.1.1, and our subnet mask we can write here, then no shutdown. Okay, then we go to our multi-layer switch, CLI, enable config terminal. First of all we can write our VLAN identity, VLAN 10, name VLAN 10, exit. Okay, VLAN 20, name VLAN 20, then exit. Our VLAN 30, name VLAN 30, exit. Our VLAN 40, okay, name VLAN 40, exit. So now I configure interface VLAN 10, then our IP address. With IP address, this is our VLAN 10 default gateway IP address. Okay, 192.168.10.1, and our subnet mask we can write here, then no shutdown. Then we interface VLAN 20, our IP address 192.168.20.1, and our subnet mask we can write here, then no shutdown. Then interface VLAN 30, our VLAN 30 IP address 192.168.30.1, and our subnet mask we can write here, then no shutdown. Then interface VLAN 40, our VLAN 40 IP address 192.168.40.1, and our subnet mask we can write here, then no shutdown. Okay, so then we exit now one time, then we go to interface this cable. Okay, this is our fast Ethernet 0 by 7, this cable. So interface fast Ethernet 0 by 7, we can write here no switch port, and our IP address right here 192.168.1.2, we can our IP address this cable, then no shutdown. Then we can now exit and show running configuration we can check now. Okay, So you can see this fast Ethernet 0 by 7 1.2 configuration. Then you can see VLAN 10. Okay, IP address 10.1, VLAN 20, VLAN 30, and our VLAN 40 IP address configuration successfully. So now we go to our router 1, router 2, and router 3 configuration. Okay, router configuration. So now we go to our router and serial 020, then interface serial 020, IP address 192.168.5.1, and no shutdown. Then exit, and this is our interface serial 020. Okay, interface serial 020, IP address 192.168.5.2, then no shutdown. Then next, this is our gigabit Ethernet 000 2.1, interface gigabit Ethernet 000. Okay, 000 our IP address 92.168.2.1. Okay, then no shutdown. Then next cable, this is our serial 021 6.1. Okay, interface serial 021, IP address 192.168.6.1, and our subnet mask right here. No shutdown. Okay, so now we go to our router 3. This is our serial 020 6.2. Okay, enable config terminal interface serial 020, our IP address 192.168.6.2. Okay, and no shutdown. Then interface gigabit Ethernet 000, because this is our default gateway. So IP address 192.168.3.1, then no shutdown. Okay, so you can see our router configuration successfully. So first of all, we configure our switch 1, switch 2, and then we configure switch multi-layer switch. Then we configure our routers. Okay, then now we configure our this switch VLAN 50 or VLAN 60. Okay, so let's go to VLAN 50 and enable. Then I write a show IP interface brief. First of all, we can check our cable connection. Last port is fast Ethernet 0 by 6. This is our 2 PC. This is our VLAN 50, and others port. This is our trunking. Okay, so configure terminal we can write here. First of all, we can write VLAN 50, name VLAN 50, exit. Okay, then we can write here interface range pass Ethernet 0 by 1 by 2, because these are 2 PC only. Switch port mode access, VLAN 50, and we can now exit. Okay, then interface range pass Ethernet 0 by 3 by I can see here 3 by 6. 3 by 6 we can now trunking. Okay, switch port mode trunking. So you can see we have already trunking. Then we go to our VLAN 60. Okay, CLI enable config, sorry, config terminal. Okay, interface. First of all, we create our VLAN name VLAN 60, name VLAN 60, exit. Now we can write here interface range faster than 0 by 1 by 2. Okay, 1 by 2. Switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN. This is our VLAN 60, and then we can now exit. Okay, so other interface range pass Ethernet 0 by I have already 1 by 2, so now I 1 by 6 switchboard mode trunk. So I have configuration successfully trunking. Okay. So now I go to our multi-layer switch. Okay, go to multi-layer switch, CLI, then enable config terminal. So first of all, I create VLAN 50 and our VLAN name. Okay, then VLAN 60, name VLAN 60. Okay, then we can now exit. Now we can configure interface VLAN 50, interface VLAN 50, then our IP address 192.168.15.1 and our default gateway, and yes. Then we can write now interface VLAN 60, then IP address 192.168.60.1 we can write here, and subnet mask. Okay. So now we can now exit. Then we go to our this cable fast ethernet 0 by 9. Okay. Interface fast ethernet 0 by 9. I can write as no switch port. Then I can write here IP address 192.168.2.2. Maybe 2.2. Yes, this is 2.2. 2.2 and subnet mask we can write here. Then no shutdown. Then we can now exit and check. Show running configuration. So you can see 2.2. This is VLAN 50 and 60. This is our VLAN 50 and 60. Yes, our configuration successfully. So then our you can see this is our VLAN configuration end and on successfully done. Okay. So now I our router OSPF configuration. Okay, our router OSPF configuration. So this is our switch on router. So now we go to our router. Okay, router. First of all, we go to our router OSPF. Then we go to our multi-layer switch OSPF. Okay. So exit. Now I writing IP routing. Then we can write router OSPF1 network. Our network 1.0 and 5.0. Okay. Our network 1.0 and 5.0. 1.0 subnet mask and area 0. Then network 192.168 5.0 and our area 0. Okay. Then we can now exit. Then we go to our multi-layer switch. Okay. Enable config terminal IP routing. First of all, you can write an IP routing. Okay. Then you can write router OSPF 1 network. This is our VLAN network. So first of all, we our default gateway configure. Okay. 192.168.1.0 area 0. Then we go to our network VLAN 10. We now configure 10.0 and this is our area 0. Then we configure our network. This is our VLAN 20. Okay, 192.168.20.0 0. Then we configure network 192.168.30.0. Then area 0. Then we configure network 192.168.40.0. Then area 0. Okay. So our OSPF configuration already done. So now we can check show running configuration. Our OSPF successfully add or not. So I can check 1.0, 10.0, 20, 30, 40. Yes, our configuration successfully. Then we go to our router 2. Okay, our router 2, 2.0, 5.0 and 6.0 configure router 2, and we are gonna exit. Then IP routing, router OSPF 1 network 192.168. First of all, we default gateway router address 2.0. Then we can write here area 0. Then network 192.168. Okay, 5.0. Then area 0. Then we can write here network 192.168 6.0. Okay, network 192.168 6.0, and our area 0. Then we can now exit. Okay, so now we can check show running configuration. So you can see 2.0, 5.0 and 6.0. Yes. So now we go to our multi-layer switch. Okay. Then enable config terminal IP routing. Then we can write here router OSPF1 network 192.168. First of all, we 2.0 right here. And this is our area 0. Then network 192.168 15.0, because this is our VLAN 15 area 0. Then network 192.168 16.0. Okay, area 0. So now we can exit and check show running configuration or successfully or not. So you can see 2.0, 50.0 and 60.0 successfully. Okay, so go to our router 3. Router 3 we configure 3.0 and 6.0. Okay, IP routing, router OSPF1 network 192.168 and this is our area 0. Then network 192.168 6.0 and this is our area 0. Then we can now exit and show running configuration. So you can see our router OSPF 3.0 and 6.0 configuration successfully. Okay, so we can now sometimes fast forward. We can fast forward. Okay, so now we can check this router to this router. Okay, we can try trace route. Control Z press, we can now exit and trace route 192.168 6.2. So you can see our configuration successful. 6.2 our configuration successfully. So we configure VLAN trunking, okay, multi-layer switch, router configuration and OSPF configuration totally successful. So now let's go. We go to our DHCP. Okay, first of all we go to our DHCP and services. This is first of all we DHCP desktop IP configuration 192.168 3.3. Why 3.3? Because 3.2 our switch address. Okay, so now I write here 3.3 and these are subnet mask and our default gateway 192.168 3.1. This is our default gateway. Okay, and our DNS server 192.168 3.4. Okay, go to our first DNS server 3.4 desktop 192.168 3.4. Okay, and our default gateway 3.1 and our DNS server same IP address 3.4. Then we go to our web server. Okay, desktop 192.168. This is our 3.5 Okay, this is our default gateway 3.1 and DNS server 3.4. Yes, 3.4. Then we go to our SYSLOG. So you can see our web server 3.5. This is our 3.6, 192.168, 3.6. And our default gateway 3.1 and our DNS server 3.3. No, 3.4. This is our DNS server. 3.4 or not, we can check now. Yes, DNS server, our 3.4. So now we go to our PC, but not DHCP working because I not command IP helper address. Okay, you can see not DHCP. Okay, so go to our router and multi-layer switch, configure our DHCP IP helper address. Okay, so first of all we go to our DHCP IP address 3.3. Okay, so let's go our in router, enable config terminal interface gigabit ethernet 000 our IP helper address 192.168.3.3. Okay, this is our this is our DHCP server IP address. Then we can now exit and we can now exit. Okay, then we go to our multi-layer switch, enable config terminal interface VLAN 10 IP helper address 192.168.3.3. Then we can now exit and interface VLAN 20 IP helper address 192.168.3.3. We can now exit and interface VLAN 30. Okay, IP helper address 192.168. Okay, 3.3. Then we can now exit and interface VLAN 40 IP helper address 192.168. Okay, 3.3. Then we can now exit. This is our VLAN 14. Yes, this is our VLAN 40 configuration successful. Then we go to our VLAN 50 or 60. Okay, go to enable configure terminal interface gigabit ethernet 000. Okay, IP helper address 192.168.3.3, and we can now exit and we go to our multi-layer switch. Okay, enable config terminal interface VLAN 50 IP helper address 192.168. Okay, 3.3. We can now exit and interface VLAN 60 IP helper address 192.168. 3.3. Same address we can write here. Then we go to our DHCP and DHCP go to service, go to DHCP. So first of all we create our VLAN 10. This is our VLAN 10 and our default gateway 192.168.10.1. Why 10.1? Because this is our VLAN default gateway. Okay, 10.1. Then our DNS server 192.168.3.3. Sorry, 3.4. This is our DNS server and this is our 10 and start IP 10.2. Okay, then same subnet mask and this is I50. Then I add, then I can write here 20. Okay, then 20.1 same DNS server, then 20.2 and this is I add. Then I can write here 30. Okay, this is our 30.1 and our 30. Then we can now add, then we can our 40. This is default gateway 40.1. This is our 40, and we can now add. Then we go to our 50. Okay, this is our 50.1 default gateway, and this is our 50. Then we go to add. Then we go to 60. Okay, then go to 60.1, and we starting IP address 60. Yes, this is add. Then we go to on, and now exit. Then we go to our DNS. So first of all, we see our web server 3.5. Okay, so go to our DNS services, go to DNS. First of all, we on and name google.com. As like I can name google.com. Then we go to 192.168. Our website IP address, web server 3.5. Okay, so now I can write 3.5. Then we can now add, and you can must sure this is on. Okay, then exit. Then so I check VLAN 10 IP configuration static DHCP. We can now refresh. So you can see our DHCP configuration. So 10.2 our subnet mask, default gateway 10.1, and DNS server 3.4. So now we go to VLAN 20 checking. Go to DHCP. So you can see successful. Then go to VLAN 30 DHCP. So you can see successful. Then go to VLAN 40. Okay, go to DHCP. You can see successful. Then go to VLAN 50. Our DHCP. You can see successful. Then go to VLAN 60. Our DHCP. You go. Then you see successful. Okay. So I configure DNS DHCP web server. Okay. So then we configure CDP or LLDP. Okay. So first of all, we configure our router CDP or LLDP. Go to router, exit, enable. So first of all, we write a show CDP and show LLDP. So you can see show CDP or show LLDP. LLDP is not enabled, and CDP information. Okay. So now we configure CDP or LLDP. Okay. Enable config terminal CDP run LLDP run. Then we can now exit, and now I can check show CDP, and now I can check show LLDP. So you can see our LLDP status active. Okay. Then this is our router one. So enable config terminal hostname. We can write here hostname R1. Okay. Then we go to our multi-layer switch. This is then we'll write here hostname. Okay, hostname switch 1. Then we can now exit, and now I can write here show CDP and show LLDP. So you can see not configure. So so now I configure enable config terminal CDP run LLDP run. Then we can now exit and write here show CDP. You can write as show LLDP. So you can see our LLDP and CDP active. Okay. So our CDP or LLDP fast router and multi-layer switch activate. Then same system. So now we go to our CDP or LLDP, or we have already configuration. Okay. So not we can write here our SSH in this video not I configure. So now I configure SYSLOG. Okay. So go to our router 1 and enable config terminal. Okay. So now I create So our size log CLI I can see here, but not you understand. This is our size log CLI. Okay. So first of all, we can write our service time is time tapes log date time meter second. Okay. So this is most important. When you write this command, then you active your size log. Okay. So we can write here service time tapes. Okay. Service time tapes. You can see log date time meter second. Okay. Log date time meter second. Then we can write here logging on. Then we can write here logging host. Which host? Our size log IP address we can write here. Okay. So first of all, we can see our size log IP address 3.6. Yes, 3.6 our size log IP address. So I can write here 3.6. Then we can now exit. Okay. So then we go to our switches. Switches go to our CLI. Okay. Then we enable config terminal. So then we go to same system. Okay. First of all, we can write here service time date time meter second square. Then we go to our logging on. Then we go to our logging host. Which host? 192.168.3.6. Which host? This is our size log IP address. Okay, 3.6. Then we can now exit. So then we configure interface VLAN 1 IP address. Which IP address? This IP address 3.2. Okay, 192.168.3.2. Sorry, 3.2 and our subnet mask. Then no shutdown. Then we can write here exit, show running configuration. You can see interface VLAN 1 3.2. Yes. Now I check. Okay, so now I check our size log. Okay, go to services size log. This is our enable. So you can see our size log already configure. Okay, so I can check. This is our put, and now I can minimize. Okay, so you can see this is our size log. So suppose this cable I can shut down. Okay, so you can see this is send a report. So go to so now interface gigabit ether 000. Enable config terminal interface gigabit ether 000. Then this is our when I shut down, then you can see this send a report. So you can see you left side size log send a background report. Then we can no shutdown. Okay, this cable no shutdown. Then you see send a report. Okay. So this is our size log. Okay, so in this video I assigned VLAN 50 60, VLAN 10 20 30 40. Okay, configuration tracking DHCP DNS size log and LLDP and CDP. Okay, so thank you so much. Like and subscribe. Thank you.